Hey, let's do a new yoga video together.
Hello. I am going to
It's the same.
redo these instructions for my Master Yin class for all of us to follow. And I want to start out by just giving you the information of the tools that are best to use, in my opinion. The yoga blocks, a couple of pillows, maybe small, medium, large, and a bolster or two. I usually have both my bolsters, like 4 different yoga blocks and a few different small pillows, and I just like to mix it up. And also, very important is the canvas strap. But you don't have to have any of those things, but I will go ahead and give the instructions as if you have those things. And we're going to go ahead and start in Savasana, just laying down flat, maybe with a bolster under the knees. A lot of times I like to have a small pillow under the small of my neck. And just laying in Savasana, relaxing into it. Set your intentions for today's practice. Focus on what it is you want to bring into your life. Focus on what you are needing to have less of in your life, and how you can create the space to allow that shift to bring more of what you want and less of what you don't want. We'll remain in Savasana for a minute while focusing on our intentions. It's important to relax and to focus. Rotate the head and neck slowly to the right, looking over your right shoulder. Deep breath. And then slowly rotate the head and neck back to neutral. And then looking out over the left shoulder. Deep breath, and then back to neutral. You can stretch out long with your hands overhead. You can hug both knees for several breaths. And then continue hugging your right knee while lowering your left leg back down to the mat. You have an option here to engage your right foot, flexing your heel, rotating your ankle, pointing your toes. Continue hugging that right knee tight. Pay close attention to the micro movements and the compression in your right hip socket. And then reach for your strap. Get the canvas to go across the ball of your right foot, and then straighten out your leg. You can have your knee slightly bent. Pull that leg just a little closer to your chest. And then you can swing that leg out to the right side with the strap or without if you like. And we'll remain in the half straddle for several breaths. Then coming out of that, you can set your strap aside, lower the right leg back down to the mat. Switching out your legs, hug in your left knee. Again, you can engage the foot and the ankle by flexing and pointing the toes, rotating your foot. Hug in that left knee. tightly. Again, pay attention to the micro movements and focus on the compression in your left hip. And then pick your strap back up, place the canvas across the ball of your left foot, and straighten out the left knee. Hold it there. You can bend that knee slightly if you wish. Pull that leg just a little closer to your chest. And then hold that left leg out to your left side with or without the strap for the half straddle. Breathe into it. Big stretch. Then set your strap aside, lower the left leg back down to the mat. Both legs are straight. Stretch out, long arms up overhead. And then you can hug both of your knees tightly. And continuing to hold your right knee while lowering the left leg back down to the mat. And then you're going to place that right knee onto the left side of your body for the supine twist. Arms are in a T. Keep your gaze out over your right fingertips. You have an option to use your left hand to apply a light pressure to your right knee if you wish. I usually have a bolster under my right knee. You can do this without a bolster. You can use a pillow or a block, whatever you're comfy with. Then we're slowly going to turn the head and neck to look to the left. Deep breath. And then slowly turn the head and neck back to the right. And then back to neutral. Lower that right leg back down to the floor, hugging in both of your knees together again. Your head and neck towards your knees, rocking and rolling, and then lowering your right leg down to the mat while continuing to hug your left knee. Hold that there. Then we're going to bring the left knee across the body to place it on the floor or on a bolster on the right side of yourself for the supine twist to the other side. Arms are in a T, keeping your drishti out over your left fingertips. You can use that right hand to apply light pressure to the left knee at any point. Slowly turn your head to be looking out over your right shoulder. Hold it there. And then back slowly, looking out over your left shoulder again. And then back to neutral. Lower the left leg back down to the floor, coming out of this twist, and stretch your arms long overhead. And you can hug both of your knees again, stretching your neck, rotating both ankles, engaging the feet, flexing the heels, pointing the toes. And then we're going to get into the reclined butterfly. You may want to bolster or blocks under your knees or thighs. Feet together, arms down by your sides. Just surrendering to your practice. Palms can be facing up. And then glide your arms across the floor, reaching out wide to the sides and then overhead into steeple grip. Hold that steeple grip, or you can have your hands in prayer hands, whatever is comfortable for you. Then glide your arms back down to your sides like butterfly wings. Hands or palms are facing up. Slowly stretching those arms out wide again into that half moon, bringing the arms back up overhead, touching the fingertips to each other in prayer hands or steeple grip. With your arms overhead outstretched, stay in the butterfly pose for another breath. If you have any props here, you want to remove them. And then we're going to do the reclined tree pose on each side. First, straighten out your left leg and place the sole of your right foot against the inseam of your left thigh as high as you can. Hands are still in steeple grip or prayer hands. Mixing it up. Yogi's choice. We're simply going to switch sides by straightening out the right leg and placing the sole of your left foot high to the inseam of your right thigh. Still with the arms overhead in prayer hands, or branching them out, goalposts, steeple grip, whatever's comfortable for you. And then coming out of this position, we will reach for the strap, getting that across the balls of both of your feet for legs up the wall. Your knees can be straight or bent slightly. You can pedal your knees, you can rock, you can wiggle, anything you wish. Continue to keep your left foot in the canvas strap, taking your right foot out of that strap and placing it across your left thigh for reclined pigeon. As you're holding that position, you can bend the left knee slightly as an option, or keep it straight, or some of each, straightening and bending. And then switch out your feet, get your right foot back into that strap, removing your left foot and placing your left ankle across your right thigh for reclining pigeon on the other side. Again, you have that same option to bend the knee, straighten it, or some of each. Then setting your strap aside, you can lay flat for 3 honey bumblebee breaths. can close your eyes, take your 3 fingers and place them on your eyes, thumbs on your ear cartilage, pressing your thumbs down on that tragus, closing off the airway into your ears, breathing in through your nose and out through the nose. We will hum low pitch 3 times when breathing out. After that, get ready to flip yourself over, slowly turning to the left or to the right. And you're going to lay prone on your front side. You can rest your head on your hands, laying on top of each other for several breaths, preparing for the supine twist once again. Come up into Sphinx on your elbows and forearms. And then hike your right knee out to the right. With your right arm out in front of you, use your left arm to thread the needle, making any adjustments for this pose that you need to get into the supine twist once again. And you might want to grab that bolster again, or a pillow, or a block, or not. Yogi's choice. You can try to straighten out both of your arms, laying your shoulders and arms flat across the ground. You can use your left hand to apply that slight pressure to your right knee. Keeping your gaze out over the right shoulder, gazing towards your right fingertips. Feel the difference from the last supine twist, having gotten into this pose from an entirely different series of prompts and directives. Also, you might note similarities along with those differences. And when you're ready to come out of this twist, you can rest your head on your hands once again, laying them on top of each other. And then lifting your feet up, bending your knees, making a windshield wiper movement with the feet and calves. And then slow that down. Feet back down to the ground. Come back up into the Sphinx on your forearms, elbows, and hands. And hike your left knee up to the left side. With your left arm out in front of you, thread your right arm through the needle. As you shift into the supine twist, you can do the same thing as the other side if you want to grab the bolster or pillow or block. Adjust yourself so that you're comfortable. You can get both shoulders and arms flat on the ground, arms in a T. Again, you can use the right hand to apply that light pressure to your left knee if you wish, keeping your drishti out over your left shoulder. Enjoy this twist again while noticing those similarities and differences from the last supine twist, and even from the other side. When you're done and you come out of the twist, rest your head on your hands again.
Rookie, no.
This time in an exaggerated motion.
Rookie, no.
Really windshield wiper those feet and knees, loosening the hips out too. Then lower your feet to the ground, and we'll send our hips back towards the feet, getting into a wide knee child pose. You can use a block under your chest or torso, a bolster or pillow to rest your head on if you want. Arms out in front. We're going to hold this position. Really feel the loosening in your back. Really relax your torso. Ragdoll the upper portion of your body. Allow gravity to do this work for you. And then when you're done, remove the prop if you have one. Coming into tabletop, and then back into Sphinx. On your elbows and forearms again. This time spreading your hands and your fingers out as wide as you can, holding that Sphinx pose tall, before then turning your right forearm to be parallel with the top of your mat. Reach back with your left hand to grab your left foot and hold this half bow for several breaths. Now, if you'd like to take this challenge of full bow, take a minute here to attempt getting each of your feet into each of your hands. It can be very challenging. You might want to use the strap if you have it, or what I do is I just let go of one foot, grab the other one, try to use the other foot to guide that foot into my other hand. It's different every time. If you have somebody nearby to spot you, you can ask for assistance. Once you're in the full bow shape, you can explore this challenging pose. Use your breath and your diaphragm to rock. You can remain still. Some of each. Then when you let go, rest your head on your hands once again. Each hand stacked on top of the other. Windshield wipering the feet, loosening out the hips. And then slow that down. Lower your feet back down to the floor. And then the same thing on the other side. Coming back into Sphinx. Stretching your hands and fingers out as wide as you can. Sitting tall before turning left forearm parallel to the top of your mat. And then reaching with your right hand back to hold your right foot. Engaging in this half bow for several breaths. Then just like on the other side, if you're up for attempting the full bow, this is your opportunity for that if it's in your practice. Again, you can use the strap, have someone spot you, whatever it is you need to get yourself into this challenging position of full bow. Or modifying it however you need to. Absolutely modifying it if you need to. Again, you can use your breath or your diaphragm to rock back and forth. You can remain remain still, or a bit of both. And then when letting go, lower both feet to the mat. And again, you're going to send your hips back to sit on your feet into a regular child's pose. This time your knees are together. While sitting on your feet, you can rest your head on a block. We're going to be here for a prolonged period, so make sure you're comfortable. With your arms out on the floor in front of you, take several breaths, really relaxing that torso, allowing the gravity to do the work for you. And then you're going to slowly slide or walk your fingers to the right edge of the mat, reaching for the upper right corner. Feel that stretch across your lower left ribs. And then slowly slide or walk your fingers and hands back to neutral. Slide or walk your hands and fingers to the left edge of the mat, reaching towards the upper left corner and focusing on the extension in the lower right ribs. And then we're going to glide or walk the fingers back to neutral. Really ragdoll your torso. Feel that stretch. If you'd like, you can use a block or a pillow to sit your bum on as you come up into lightning bolt pose or hero's pose. Sitting on your feet. It's hard for a lot of people, so a lot of folks like to use a bolster or some prop to make it a little less of a compression. It's a very simple pose, but it is very challenging, can be very challenging. Place your hands on your thighs, just remaining still, noting the challenge of the seemingly simple pose. Maybe prayer hands over heart, maybe raising those prayer hands overhead and lowering them back down to hands over heart and hands back on your thighs. And then transitioning up onto your knees with a widened stance. And you can reach your hands back behind you, interlacing your fingers, kind of flexing your forearms and hands out and up.
Quiet.
Looking
Quiet.
straight ahead. You can be looking up while you move your
No.
arms.
No.
And then coming out of that bind with your hands, you can grab a bolster or blocks and then just reach back towards your feet. For camel pose, I usually like to put a bolster across the backs of both of my ankles and then lean back. It's a really good chest opener, arching your torso. It's another challenging pose. And then as you come out of the shape, you can sit on your heels again into that hero's pose for a moment. Hands on your thighs. And then swing your legs around out in front of you for staff pose. You can stack up some pillows and props on your thighs if you like. And then you can ragdoll your upper body over your legs on the props, Alternatively, you can use the strap on the balls of your feet for the same type of effect here. We're going to hold this for an extended period. Really lean into it. Envision tilting your hips towards your feet, towards your toes. Again, allow gravity to do the work for you. Focus on easing your weight forward, trusting the gravitational pull to completely support you, keep you safe. Coming up from that, you can remove your props. Keep your left leg stretched out long and bring the right foot up high to the inseam of your left thigh. You can reach for the left toes in a side bend. Maybe reaching your right hand over your left toes hand. Again, allow gravity to do the work for you, relaxing into this. And then as you come up, you can stretch both legs out into a wide straddle stretch, leaning forward for a couple of the blocks out in front of you. Might want to rest your elbows on the blocks. Then we're going to switch it out to the other side. Place your left foot high to the inner right thigh, reaching for the right toes with the right hand in a side bend. Stretching the left hand over the right toes and hand. Lean into it. Let it go. Coming up, we'll stretch out both legs wide in the wide leg straddle again. And leaning forward, reaching out in front of you. You can rest your forehead on a couple of yoga blocks stacked up on top of each other. You can rest your elbows on the blocks or both. Deep breaths. Up, we will get into a seated butterfly, holding the soles of the feet together with both hands, pushing knees towards the floor, sitting up tall, and then bending your head and neck towards your feet, stretching low, before then rising your head slowly up to neutral. Like you have a string pulling on the top of your head. And then we're going to twist the head to the right, looking over the right shoulder. Back to neutral. And then looking out over the left shoulder. Bring it back to neutral. stretch the neck down again, rolling it out gently in small movements at first. You can turn your head back and forth like you're indicating a no. Stretch those neck muscles side to side or diagonal. Might want to nod your head up and down as if acknowledging a yes. If it's in your practice and you're comfortable with it, you can do a full circle rotation with your head and neck in one direction, and then the full circle rotation with the head and neck in the other direction. Before then bringing your head back to neutral and shifting into easy pose. Reach your left hand down to the ground, touching the floor with your left fingertips as you drop your right ear over your right shoulder. You have an option here to use a light pressure with your right fingertips on the top of your head. And if you want, you can move your head slightly back and forth to gently massage out your neck muscles. And then letting go, bring your head and neck back to neutral. Reach with your right fingers towards the ground while dropping your left ear to your left shoulder. And again, with that slight pressure with your left fingertips if you wish. And then moving the head and neck slightly back and forth for extra massage on your neck muscles. And then back to neutral. Again, turn your head slowly from side to side, first to the right, and then neutral, to the left, and back to neutral. And now we're going to bring ourselves into that wide straddle once again, leaning forward. You probably want to use blocks in front of you to rest your forehead on, as we will be in this stretch for an extended period. You can really rest the weight of your head on the blocks if you do have your forehead resting on the blocks. And if not, just really feel that stretch in your back as you lean forward. You can pick up a block in each of your hands, reaching out over the left foot. You can place the blocks on either side of your foot to rest your hands on the blocks while you reach for your toes. Hold it there. Again, allow the gravity to do the work for you. Breathe into it. And then pick up the blocks and place them on either side of your right foot, reaching for your toes. Or you can rest your hands on the blocks. Allow the gravity to do the work for you. And then come back to neutral. You can set your blocks aside. And our next pose will be bending our right knee over our left leg, extended straight out. Twisting to the right, you can hook your left arm around your right knee. Gazing to the back of the room, use your right hand or fist on the floor behind you. Your arm can support your torso. Continue using your left elbow to leverage on the right knee. Really feel the power of this stretch. And slowly turn your gaze to the front of the room, over your left shoulder. And then again, slowly returning your gaze to the back of the room, all while continuing to leverage that left elbow on the right knee. And then as we come out of this twist, we will simply switch sides, bending the left knee over the right leg is extended out straight, left hand or fist on the floor behind you, hooking your right elbow over your left knee, gazing over your left shoulder towards the back of the room, continuing to leverage your right arm against that left knee. Slowly turn the gaze to be looking out over your right shoulder. Slowly turning back to look over your left shoulder. Continuing the leveraging with the right elbow on the left knee. And then release back to neutral. You can hold the soles of your feet together, getting into the butterfly, pressing the knees towards the floor. First sitting up tall, and then bending the head and the neck forward. And then again, as you raise your head up, keep your posture as if a string were being pulled from above, from the top of your head. And then gently turn your head to the right. And then neutral. Then to the left. And then back to neutral. And now we're going to get into cow face and then the Lord of the Fish, or Lord of the Flies. It's Lord of the Fish. We're going to bend the right knee over the left knee that is also bent, stacking the knees on top of one another for cow face. Holding each of your feet in each of your hands. Sitting up straight. You can use your thumbs to press into the arches of your feet, giving yourself a nice little foot massage if you like. And then we're going to twist to the right. Right hand is on the floor behind you. The left elbow leverages against the right knee. Looking to the back of the room. Really appreciate the power of this stretch. Slowly, you can turn your head to be looking over your left shoulder. And then slowly back again to be looking out over your right shoulder. And then coming out of this, we're going to straighten out both legs in front of ourselves for staff pose. Reaching the arms out wide to the sides, arching them in the half moon up towards the sky. You can interlace your fingers, and then in that bind, turn the hands outward, reaching up tall. Just sitting up straight. And then eventually bending forward, reaching for your toes. Really feeling that stretch in your back. before coming up and preparing to switch legs for cow face on the other side. Left knee stacks over the right bent knee, holding both feet, massaging with the thumbs into the arches of the feet. Sitting tall. And then twisting to the left, right arm leveraging against the right knee. Left hand on the floor behind you, looking out over your left shoulder. Turning your gaze to the other side of the room, looking out over your right shoulder. Slowly returning the gaze to look out over your left shoulder once again, all while leveraging that right elbow on the left knee. And then your head can go back to neutral. Coming out of this twist, you can return to staff pose. Reaching the arms out wide to the sides again for the half moon arch, legs out front. Touch the hands lightly overhead, maybe into the steeple grip. Sitting up tall. Then eventually you'll reach for your toes again, really appreciating that stretch in your back. And as you come up to neutral, you can transition into easy pose. We'll reach our arms out to the sides for the half moon arch, and then up to touch hands together for prayer hands overhead, before bending elbows into cactus arms, preparing for eagle arms. First with the right elbow over the left elbow, hands together, pushing elbows slightly up, bending head and neck slightly down. It's an amazing stretch in the neck, the shoulder blades. You can continue looking slightly down, or you have the option to slowly look up as high as you can, leaning your head slightly back while pushing those eagle arms towards the sky. And as you do, your arms will unpretzel. You can reach them back out wide. And then out to touch the earth. And then into another half moon, reaching out to the sides and up overhead. The prayer hands back to cactus, and then eagle arms with the left elbow over the right elbow, pushing the elbows slightly up and bending the neck and head down slightly. Again, option to remain looking down slightly, or you can transition to slowly look up as high as possible and leaning your head slightly back while you're pushing your elbows and arms up, and they unpretzel. Stretch the arms out wide to the sides again, reaching out and touching the earth, and then back up. overhead with the half moon arch to steeple grip, sitting tall. And then we're going to do a simple twist to the right as we lower the arms down. Your right hand will go behind you, your left hand on your right knee. Lift your right arm up over, bringing it over the left arm, reaching to hold the left knee with your right hand. Then you can release the left hand from the right knee and bring it to the floor behind you. Before then reaching that left arm up over the right arm, back with your left hand onto your right knee, and then coming into neutral. Then you're going to lay on your back. Actually, no, here we're first going to do a light basket hug around your knees. Sorry about that. Lag time. Gonna hug the knees lightly into a basket shape before then getting into a boat pose. I like to grab my forearms under the backs of my legs and get into a very good, strong boat pose. And then let go, holding my hands and arms parallel to the floor. It's good for strengthening your abdominal muscles. And if you like, you can do a little scissoring of your legs. Before then, laying down on your back. And then stretching out long before you plant both of your feet on the floor, knees bent. You might want to hold a block or a pillow in between your knees, and maybe a block or a pillow on either side of your knees to allow your knees to just fall gently to the right. Arms are in a T, keeping your drishti out over your left fingertips. It's a very lovely, simple stretch. Very relaxing. And then slowly you can rotate your head to look out the other direction over your right shoulder. And then slowly rotating your head and neck back to be looking out over your left shoulder again. And then head and neck back to neutral. Knees to neutral. Then allow your knees to fall to the left, still with your arms in a T and your drishti out over your right fingertips. Relax into it. And then you can slowly turn your head to be looking out over your left shoulder. Slowly turning your head and neck to be looking back over your right fingertips. Turning the head and neck back to neutral. Knees back to neutral. Remove any props and hug in both knees, bending your head and your neck, engaging your feet, flexing your heels, pointing your toes, rotating your ankles. Before then, planting both feet firmly on the mat again. Pick up your right leg, straighten it out, and then get your right knee over your left knee. Allow those knees to fall to the right. Arms are in that T. Drishti is over your left fingertips. This is the final grand finale twist, my all-time favorite. shoulder. Slowly rotate your head and neck to be looking over your left shoulder again. And then back to neutral. Release your knees back to neutral. And then hug in both of your knees. Rocking and rolling. Firmly plant those feet back onto the mat once again for the other side. Lifting your left foot up, get your left knee bending over your right knee, and allow the legs to fall to the left side. Arms are still in a T with your drishti over your right fingertips. Enjoy this final twist. Turn your head to be looking out over your opposite shoulder. Slowly rotating your head and neck back the other way. And then back to neutral. Hug in both of your knees. One more time, rocking and rolling. You have an option here for the happy baby. You can rock the baby, alternate straightening and slightly bending each knee. And as you come out of that form, you can lay flat. Before then reaching for a block for supported bridge, you'll plant both feet firmly on the mat, lifting up your hips, sliding the block under the small of your back on its lowest level, and then resting your tailbone on that block. We will remain in the supported bridge for an extended period. Still on the block, you can reach for your strap, or you can do this without the strap and get your feet into the canvas if you want to do legs up the wall with the assistance of the strap, or you can do the legs up the wall without the strap. Yogi's choice. Pedal those knees with your legs up the wall. When you're done, you can set the strap to the side and remove the block. If it's in your practice, you have an option here for a shoulder stand and the plow. Take a minute or two to do these, or yogi's choice, any stretch you would like. Feel free to get into Savasana early and we can meet you there. or should you be doing a shoulder stand, you might want to point your toes tall. You might want to flex your heels, rotate your ankles, any movements that you're inclined to do before transitioning into the plow. Then when you're coming out of the plow, with your chin tucked, slow and controlled, one vertebrae at a time, roll yourself down onto the mat to relax into Savasana. Remembering your intentions that you set at the beginning of the practice. Thank yourself for taking the time out of your day to focus on yourself, your well-being, and your interpersonal healing. You bring your awareness back into the room, into your body. You can either roll to one side or the other before then slowly pushing yourself to sit up. Or if it's comfortable for you, there's the option to slightly, with your chin tucked, come up onto both of your elbows, slightly rocking yourself, straightening your arms out behind you, and transitioning into easy pose. Either way, coming back up into easy pose. Place your left hand on the right knee, right hand on the floor behind you, lightly twisting to the right, crossing your right arm over your left arm, right hand onto that left knee, and then reaching with your left hand behind you, twisting to the left, and then lifting up that left arm over the right arm, and then hugging yourself lightly in this basket shape. And then you can hug yourself as tightly as you can, making yourself into a small seedling or a ball, constricting yourself to take up as little space as possible before then releasing and stretching your arms up and out wide to the sides into a star shape, placing each hand on each of your knees, touching the pointer fingers to the thumbs. We're going to breathe in through the nose and out through the mouth, chanting Om 3 times in a low pitch as we breathe out. Stretching those arms out wide again for that half moon arch, bringing the arms up overhead to prayer hands. And then to acknowledge your insight and wisdom, touch your thumbs or knuckles to your third eye on the way to hands over heart. Reaching out with the arms wide once again for one last half moon arch. Prayer hands overhead, slowly lowering the prayer hands over heart, and then bowing to close seal the practice. And so it is. Thank you for practicing with me today. Be well. Enjoy the rest of your day. Be sure to drink your water, eat your veggies, and some good protein.
The veggies are so important, as is kindness and love and light.